The right arm and the shaft are parallel to the ground, just like that. Okay, this is the slowest club head speed, but it's also the best distance control. Okay, now, that's why it's basic motion. But sometimes basic motion won't work. Sometimes you got to hit it higher, sometimes you got to hit it farther, sometimes you got to hit it out of deeper grass. So the golfer, to start to generate more thrust on the club or to increase the ability to hit the ball higher, the golfer has to start cocking and recocking the club. And Mike's going to demonstrate now the shorter arc follow through. Okay, one more time please on the long. Okay, now one more time on the short. I'll just stand right here. You see how as Mike recocks the club, he did not hit me. That's a shorter arc. Okay, now if he does that in slow motion, the shorter arc helps put more velocity on the club. The more that club recocks, the faster the club head moves. Okay, that helps get the club through heavy grass. The problem is, if you do that again, is that as he recocks the club, the loft is changing. Okay, and when he does that, that makes the distance control harder on these shorter shots. So that's why you don't recock the club in basic chipping, is because the distance control is harder to control than the long arc. However, sometimes you can't use the long arc. Okay, so one more time, short arc. He hinges the club and he rehinges the club. So we know that increases the velocity and it adds potential height to the ball. Okay, and the opposite would be no wrist cocking on the backstroke, no recocking on the follow through. That would be the slowest swing, the best distance control, and the best control of the dispersion. Okay, that's what you need to know.
So this basic shot right here, the basic little chip shot with the ball back, I've squared the club face up. I've had to actually close it to keep it square. And I'm going to keep the face square as I hit the ball. On the softer shots or higher shots, I may open the club face as I move the ball forward, keep opening the club face more and more, and still do my basic motion with my arms, my hips, my shoulders, where my weight is, all of that's still staying the same.
I think that's important because Mike just narrated for you the progression for how to move from basic motion chipping, which would be a medium-low shot that rolls, what the order of things would do to start hitting the ball higher. And you'll notice that he said the first thing that he did to start hitting the ball higher was he started opening the club.
I did not change any of the other parts or components in my swing yet.
Nothing yet. First, he just opened the club. Second, he's just going to move his ball forward. As he moves his ball forward, you'll notice that the handle is not as far in front of the ball as it was. Okay? That's going to help the ball to go higher. As Mike moves his ball forward, his shaft is relatively more vertical. The handle is not as far in front of the ball, and he's opened the face. Okay, start again, Mike, with basic motion. So he's got basic motion here. That's going to produce, will you chip one please, Mike? That produces this shot. Now, the progression would be to hit the ball higher. First, to gradually, say you wanted to hit it just a little bit higher than normal. The first thing he does is he just turns his face open, just a little, okay? Just a little, Mike. Just a little, okay? He only wants to hit it a little higher than normal. Okay, so he opens his face a little. Now, the second thing he does to start hitting this ball higher is he starts to move the ball forward, just a little, okay? His feet are so close together that he moves the ball forward a little, opens the face a little, and he chips the ball. Okay, go ahead and chip it, Mike. Now the ball's starting to get softer and roll less. He hasn't altered his stroke, right?
No. No.
Did you cock the wrists more, Mike?
No.
No?
No. The weight's the same. The arms are still straight. The wrists are still locked. There's no wrist motion.
So you didn't release it?
No, did not release it.
Did not release it?
No.
Okay. Okay, so the important thing here that we want to get is the progression on how to move from basic motion to making the ball go slightly softer and roll slightly less. The first thing is to gradually start opening the face. The second thing is to gradually start moving the ball forward. Okay, these pieces individually will start to make the ball go higher and roll less without changing the structure of the swing. Okay? And we were just discussing, Mike, the progression for hitting the ball higher and how as the face opens up that helps the ball to go higher and roll less. But a logical question might be is that, well, if I start opening the club face, okay, then the ball would go to the right, okay? But what actually happens is that as Mike gradually opens his club, okay, he actually rotates his stance very slightly to the left, progressively more as he wants to hit the ball higher, okay? Now, if you look at Mike from this view, where the camera is positioned now, you're going to see how it looks like his handle is behind the ball. Okay, but that's only because Mike has opened his stance and he's actually open to the camera angle. So what I'm going to show you now is what it looks like from Mike if we put the camera at a right angle to Mike with his open stance. Notice now we've moved the camera, changed the camera angle here, and if you look at Mike, it looks like his hands are in front of the ball now, as opposed to before when he aimed his stance to the left in opening the stance, it looked like the handle was behind the ball. It's important for the golfer to understand that as Mike aimed to the left, okay, his handle is still in front of the ball, his face is still open, and he's just swinging along that open stance with his club face open. That's how the ball is going so high. He's not making any effort to lift this club or flick the club up in the air to hit it high. When he's coming in to hit the ball, the handle is still in front of the ball. But you won't see that unless you're standing at a right angle to Mike when he hits the ball. If you're standing at a right angle to the target line, which would be over here, it's going to look like his hands are behind the ball. Very important to understand there, and how Mike is opening his club face, then opening his stance, okay, and then how to see that and understand that when he hits the ball, to still hit down at this ball, the butt of the club is still slightly in front when he hits it. Okay, Mike? Let's chip it out there. Okay, when we film that, you're going to see how the butt of the club is in front of the ball, so he's still hitting downward at it. Okay?